Hello, everyone. Welcome to a mixed martial arts conversation for Sky Sports, responding to the huge fight and huge news over the weekend. Khabib Nurmagomedov moving to 29-0 with a submission victory over Justin Gaethje, then announcing his retirement. Very much, maybe not the retirement part, but the fight, very much as Mark Weir called it in our preview beforehand. Mark, appreciate your time reacting to what's gone on Fight Island. First of all, how impressed were you with the performance?
Performance was, if you're going to leave the sport, you gotta leave it like that, where it looked like he shouldn't have even been there with him. It's like the way he performed was, you could tell it was a do or die situation. It's like it was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was an incredible result, wasn't it? It went the way you thought. Could Gaethje have done anything different to prevent that? He said he knew what was coming.
Right. I said that he hasn't really used his wrestling to the level of again, which he should have, to get used to stuff in, because he doesn't wrestle, does he? He more or less stops everybody taking him down, but he's not Khabib. Khabib adapts in every area. He shows stand-up, he shows obviously wrestling, he shows jiu-jitsu, and he hasn't really honed his skills, which everybody needs to do. But I never thought it was going to be to that degree. Khabib, like I said, with all the problems he's having, it actually put a bit more energy, determination. I could go one way or the other, and I think it went the way positively, where it made him it made him a beast, because that was Gaethje didn't look like he's supposed to be there with him.
Yeah, it's interesting. Abdulmanap, his father, passed away in the summer. He's subsequently retired. He retired in the cage post-fight in his interview. How do you reflect on that? Is it a shame that he announced it so early? We know that he said he persuaded his mum to have that one last fight. Do you feel that maybe he should have sat on it for a few weeks?
Think about it. He's probably feeling it. Obviously, he said, I said in our last interview that he's going to look over to his corner, and I'm hoping that corner will be enough support for him to weather the storm if he needs it. In doing that, he also, from what I've heard, he left with his mother not wanting him to fight. Did not want to, compete without his dad, because he's probably grown up and his mum's watching them to go out to, to train together, fight together. It's a sort of family affair. And if his mum's a bit upset, it's hard on him to think about it. He can be motivated one area because his dad's legacy. He wanted him to see him be the best ever. And he's got his mother on the other side, feeling reluctant because she probably don't want to see him get hurt or anything. It's a hard position to be in.
Is he at his best yet, though? Do you feel at 32 he could get even better in the next few years?
Put it this way, he's getting better and better, and I don't think he can outdo that performance. I think if anything, I'd say he's at his peak. But then how, maybe he could do another 4 or 5 fights like that. I don't know. But if you're going to leave the sport and you want to retire, I thought it was going to be 30 fights. I thought GSP was going to be his last one. But the way he's left it with the pressure he's got on him, if he's smart, if he knows that, just by chance, I heard the weigh-in was a bit, he didn't look himself coming in. Everybody knows why, because he's got a lot on his mind. But I think it's, I did hear a rumor that he has broken his toe or something, hasn't he?
Broken his foot, I believe, was the rumor. Yeah, Dana White said he heard that maybe 3 weeks ago. He was in hospital.
But he's determined. It was for a reason he's fighting. I think it's for his dad's legacy as well as his own. And he said to his mum, this is meant to be his last one. So I think he's done the right thing. The way he performed, you couldn't wish for more. I could understand why he's crying, because anybody was going to leave the sport, it's like that. No one could say that, but he's gone out too early. He couldn't beat me. No one's going to even question that he could beat anybody on the face of this earth at the moment.
Yeah, greatest of all time, Dana White says, the GOAT. How do you feel about that, looking at MMA history? Who's in the conversation with him, and do you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely believe in that. You get these people, like I said, in my heyday, Anderson Silva, he's done amazing. And then you got GSP, he's in a runnings for that. Anastander the other day called that one with Costa. Yeah. That performance was unbelievable. But I think with the record he's got as well, it's going to be hard to match that. And no defeats. There's no one can say I could have beaten you, because everybody, this looked like the one that was meant to be the hardest fight he's going to have. And he made a guy look like he shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So that's the way to leave.
What is his legacy? Because we talked about the wrestling. We mentioned Gaethje having a background in college wrestling. You said to me, that's a different type of wrestling. Khabib's representing something new. This is MMA wrestling, and he is an MMA fighter. Is that his legacy, that he is perhaps a flag bearer for a new generation where it's not about mixing different codes. It's about forming one mixed martial artist in there. It's not bringing jiu-jitsu or kickboxing or whatever it might be. And this is a guy that's bespoke for MMA.
When you go into MMA, I came from a stand-up kickboxing background, and you learn as you go along. You have to feel what it's like to be taken down. You have to feel what it's like to try to escape to stand up. And when you feel there's certain successes and certain areas where you're weak, you work on a weakness, but 100%, the strength that you got, you try to build on that so it becomes even better. So it's harder for the next person, and through experience, you know how to handle things. With Khabib, he's constantly growing on the way of like learning how to dominate people, and if they have little glimpses of a chance to get out of something, he'll make it even worse next time around. He's learning from his successes. Now, like I said with Gaethje, he never really used his wrestling. Although he probably, if he used it a few times just to test the waters, I reckon through about 6-7 fights, he could adapt enough to maybe have a better game or defense. But he never really went down that road. So he hasn't honed it for MMA, which the submission game, everything else, he needs to test himself on all areas, because Khabib is well-rounded. Even a stand-up, look what he did on a stand-up. And we said about that as well with McGregor. Look what he did with McGregor. He knocked him down. So, I'm not beating my own drum. I said about that as well. But he's well-rounded. He's a perfect well-rounded fighter.
What if he goes at 29-0 and he stays away from the sport? We're left with the question forever: who could beat him, or what type of fighter could beat him? What the ingredients would be? Would that be a sensational striker that perhaps could knock him out, or is it potentially a sort of a Khabib version, another fighter that combines striking and wrestling? Who could beat him? Who do you think? Is there anyone in history you think that could have beaten him, or any type of fighter?
The main thing, the sport's evolving. If you go back to the early UFCs and you look at that, the way people used to fight there, they didn't really have the skills they got now. The average UFC fighter could go back in the past, in the 90s, in the early 2000s, and destroy all the previous fighters because of what's evolved now. The way they're doing, the way they're stuffing the certain takedowns, the way they're striking. Like you've seen phenomenal, like we said the other day, we've seen that phenomenal back kick knockout. It's like there's always things new coming in. We've seen the one which is upward elbow underneath. That's an amazing knock. There's a way people are knocking people out. They're being creative. There's no, like the old Bruce Lee saying, no way is a way. It's basically whatever goes works. Whatever works goes. Either way, I don't know what you want to say about it. But basically using everything, just throwing anything into the mix. And if success, they build on it. So you see the weirdest kicks, weirdest punches, weirdest elbow strikes, and it does make a mark or knock someone out, and then suddenly everybody's practicing it. So I think the future is going to be, you're going to find someone else come through in the next 5 years, 2 years maybe, and they're going to be the previous fighters with their skills and then some. Because we're learning from what we see. We see it in all combat sports, even boxing, when footwork first came about. Then we had Sugar Ray Robinson. Then Ali copied him. Then he watched all the boxers after that, Sugar Ray Leonard, and they copied. So the same thing's going to happen in MMA. Everybody's going to build off the successful fighters, the champions, and they're going to have pieces of them. Like, again, Adesanya said he has a lot of Anderson Silva. So he takes his strengths off him and builds on that. So technically, the fight in the next 2 years is going to be a replica of all the previous champions. And then that's what you're going to have. And then they're going to say, yeah, he could beat Khabib. Yes, he could have, because Khabib contributed to his skills by having people see how he handled things.
Yeah, standing on the shoulder of giants. Tell you what, though, if someone does come through in the next couple of years, there'll be a clamour, won't there? There'll be people going to Dagestan to try and get Khabib out of retirement to take on the newcomer. Final thought, just on Justin Gaethje. We've seen him come back from losses and improve in the past. Do you feel that he still has a bright future in the UFC? And at that weight, some speculation that maybe he goes up in weight at some point.
Well, I think from that experience, the way Khabib shot him fast, took him down. If he stopped it at first, stuffed it, then all of a sudden, the next time Khabib came on him, it was so fast. It was like twice the speed he did last time. So even he evolved and found a way to take him down. But when he took him down, he nearly finished him in the first round, finished him in the second. He showed a hole in his game, his submission game. So remember, it's MMA. 1 minute you're wrestling to take and control the person, then you're finishing either through strikes or through submission. And he showed an area of his weakness through submission. Khabib does a lot of striking normally. He ties you up in a sort of like grappling range, jiu-jitsu range, strikes you before he wants to finish you. But this time he seemed to go straight to submission. So I think he's going to go away and he'll probably hopefully adapt his wrestling game to make it even more effective, and then also work on his submission game. Because if you lose, you know, not being funny, it's like that's a hole in your game. And someone else is going to see that and think, okay, I see what he nearly got caught by, and they're going to copy that. So he needs to up that level, especially if he wants to title himself.
Yeah, a lot of eyes on that submission loss going around the world, wasn't it? So people will be taking notice. Mark Weir, really appreciate your time joining us on a Sunday as well.
I'm glad to do this, yes.
Fantastic work as well.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited talking to everybody about this. It was an amazing fight. It was history, as we said.
Did you have money on it? You've predicted it the last couple. You know, you should be.
I predicted it. A lot of people. I said a lot of people. A lot of people's always against me for some reason, as they did with Costa and Sandler. But it seems like a lot of people are starting to believe in my predictions as well. So, it's getting pretty good. It's this experience. That's all. You got to look what's really behind the person training, as well as their how they're developing as well.
Yeah, you're very humble. I think all those decades in MMA have certainly paid dividends for us. Really appreciate your time, Mark, and speak to you again soon.
Keep this going.
Good man. We'll speak to you soon.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ed.
Well, thank you very much, Mark Weir. Really appreciate your time and insight after getting the predictions so right as well. Remember, for more mixed martial arts conversation, head to skysports.com. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye for now.